Welcome back to Native Speaker e-learning. Speaking skills, tips on saying how often you do something. In speaking exams, we often have to discuss lifestyle. And when speaking about lifestyle, students sometimes forget to use natural phrases and expressions. Students often ask, so how do I improve? Well, there are lots of natural options. Let's look at how often you do stuff. For stuff you do 1% to 10% of the time, we can say once in a blue moon. So that's almost never, maybe a couple of times in your life. So, for example, I think I've gone to the theatre, 2 or 3 times in my life. So I can say I go to the theatre once in a blue moon. I go to the theatre once in a blue moon. Two other phrases that are very similar. I almost never go to the theatre. I hardly ever go to the gym. I very rarely go to the theatre, for example. So those are a couple of phrases. Why are these really important? Well, these phrases are really important because when they ask you about certain things in the speaking exam, in reality, you don't always have time to do these things. And students feel under pressure to say something that's not really true. And I'm not asking you to tell the truth in an exam, but it's easier to talk about real life, to what you really do in real life. Okay? I've put percentages in here as a general guideline. It's not a scientific measurement, it's just for a dramatic effect. Okay? So just take that as a general guide. Okay. Rarely go to the cinema. I seldom visit my grandparents. And how often do you go to the cinema? Not very often. Okay. If you want to make that into a full sentence, you could say, I don't go to the cinema very often. Let's look now at stuff you do 10 to 60% of the time. So, whenever I get a chance, I go to the cinema whenever I get a chance. I often go to the cinema. I go to the cinema quite often. From time to time. I go to the cinema from time to time. Every now and then I go to the cinema. Every now and again I go to the theatre. Every so often I visit my grandparents. Every once in a while I meet my friends for a coffee. I occasionally go to the cinema. We go out for dinner on occasion. These are really nice phrases. And we sometimes go for dinner. There's a nice phrase. So anywhere between 10% to 60%, really approximate these percentages, okay? It depends on the person. Good. Let's look at stuff now that you do 90% to 100% of the time. So I go to the cinema all the time. I always go to the cinema on Saturdays. I almost always go to the cinema on Saturdays. Almost is a nice little touch there because in real life, are we that scientific with our social life and our lifestyle that we always do that? Let's say we almost always. And it's a nice addition. It's not a huge extra mark, but it shows that you have a good balance to your language. 90% of the time. So, for example, I sometimes have to work at the weekends, but 90% of the time I spend it with my family. Nice. So people sometimes use a percentage with 90% of the time. There's a nice idiom as well, 24/7. 24/7 is the same meaning as non-stop. It means 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Then most of the time. I love this phrase. I think it's a really, really nice phrase. And most of the time is not pronounced like that. We don't say most of the time like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he's the Terminator or Borat. We don't say most of the time. We tend to compress the sound a little and we say mosta the time. So most of becomes one word, mosta. Mosta. Most of the time. Most of the time. Most of the time. Okay? So just try to remember that. It's not a big problem if you say most of, but you're asking me about what native speakers say. Native speakers tend to say most of the time. So I like to relax at the weekend, and most of the time I spend the weekend with my family. I like to go to the cinema, but most of the time I'm busy studying. Phrases like that. Then you can use this phrase till the cows come home. Is it that popular really? Well, I'm sure a lot of people say it's not. I think you could use this phrase if you were talking about something that's really pleasurable. My little brother could play with his toys till the cows come home. That means he's so engrossed, engaged in him playing with his toys that he doesn't think about anything else, and it really relaxes him. Teenagers could play Xbox till the cows come home. I could chat with my friends on the phone till the cows come home. It's really relaxing. You could do it forever and you don't feel the need to stop. We wouldn't use it with addictions like I could smoke cigarettes with till the cows come home. No. That sounds unusual. It's usually used for some kind of lifestyle thing. Okay? All right, but the phrase we're going to look at here is whenever I get a chance. Now, a bit like the other phrase that I just practiced with you, this isn't pronounced as whenever I get that chance. It's not pronounced robotically like that. I get a becomes I get a. I get a. I get a. I get a. Whenever I get a. Whenever I get a. Whenever I get a chance. 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 So that's how you pronounce that. Whenever I get a chance. Whenever I get a chance. Whenever I get a chance. Now you, say it 3 times quickly. Okay, so I'm going to build some sentences now. I'm going to build 4 sentences and I'm going to start them with this beautiful phrase, I try to. Why do I like this phrase? Well, because I try to is really popular when you're talking about real life and your lifestyle. Do you always go to the gym every day? Do you always go for a swim every afternoon? No, you don't. And it's more natural to talk about that struggle to do things in your life. So I'm going to add some really nice phrasal verbs that are also good for lifestyle. And I try to get to. Now, you know this phrase mean in situations like, can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? But here, I try to get to the gym, for example. This suggests that you need a little discipline to go to the gym. So I try to get to the gym. Okay? I try to go to, that's a less disciplined phrase, and it just means go to a place. So I try to go to the cinema. That means that you try to find time for relaxation and you try to go to the cinema. It's not quite as disciplined as get to the cinema. Okay, that sounds a little urgent. But if you want to lose weight and get in shape, I try to get to the gym. I try to catch up on. Beautiful phrasal verb, really nice, really suits the flavour of this sentence. I try to catch up on. This means do work that you didn't do before that you should have done. So on Wednesday and Thursday, you need to catch up on study, for example, on Friday. Okay, so I try to catch up on study is a really nice phrase. And here students see catch up with and they go, what's the difference between catch up on and catch up with? Are they the same? No, they're not. They're completely different. Catch up with, it means contact somebody you haven't been in contact with for a while. So I try to catch up with my friends. So if you're really busy during the week, you might catch up with your friends on Facebook, catch up with your friends on Skype, catch up with your friends by text, catch up with your friends by phone. You can use all those phrases. But I'm going to end all of these sentences with our new friend here, whenever I get a chance. Whenever I get a chance, whenever I get a chance, whenever I get a chance, whenever I get a chance. So, we're going to practice all the sentence together now, and then you're going to repeat it. So I'll say it first, then I'll say, now you, and then you repeat it for me. Okay? So, I try to get to the gym whenever I get a chance. Now you. Very good. Let's do the next one. I try to go to the cinema whenever I get a chance. Now you. Very good. Next one. I try to catch up on study whenever I get a chance. Now you. Very good. I try to catch up with my friends whenever I get a chance. Now you? Very good. So, I hope these phrases have been of help to you. All you have to do is replay the recording and get some more practice, especially with the pronunciation of some of the phrases that I highlighted to you during the presentation. Also look at the list of phrases for how often we do things and consider that. Imagine yourself now in the exam. Visualize yourself in a speaking exam like IELTS, Cambridge First Certificate, Cambridge Advanced, Cambridge Proficiency. All of this language is really natural. It suits every level, okay? It's just like the normal phrases that a native speaker would use naturally every day. So don't focus on, which exam should I use it for? In all of the speaking exams, at some stage, you'll be asked about your lifestyle. That's guaranteed. So you can use those phrases to talk about it. Students will often say to me, but will they ask me how often? No, they not necessarily. They may not, but you can always talk about how often you do something. For example, if they say, is your town an interesting place? Yes, it's really nice. I try to get to the cinema whenever I get a chance. I often go catch up with my friends in the park whenever I have free time. You can use those kind of phrases. So that's all from me. The very best of luck, and we'll see you next time.